Back with another video. Now, what do I think about the music industry? Well, the rap hip hop industry in particular. And not only in regards to in light of what's been going on, but just, I would say, the past decade or two. So then I would have to go back. Well, see, this the thing. There is a difference between hip hop and gangster rap. Although nowadays it seems like there's no such thing as hip hop. Seems like all the music you hear is gangster inspired. But anyway, the point is, because you always had beefs in the industry, even when it was hip hop, and it was more or less based on who was the tightest rapper, the rawest wordsmith. Even if you was clowning the person or you was just flowing, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be clowning the person because that's what the beef was about. But when it comes to gangster rap, that is more like reality rap, because not only gangster rap, you're talking about the life, growing up in the hood, in the criminal mentality or whatever. So you're going to have to put up a shut up, because you're talking the talk, you're going to have to walk the walk. That's why the first few beefs, it was the term studio gangster. So, now in my opinion, it's one thing if you perpetrating. Like, okay, if you perpetrating you hard, you perpetrating, you doing something, and somebody expose you, then that's your bad. Then you was flaking, then you was a studio gangster. But nowadays the beefs is getting more personal. And before I continue, because this is the thing, when it comes to drill rap, that ain't already, then we know the extent of what happened from gangster rap, from Pac and Biggie, and plenty other brothers that in life lost their life behind this music, as we seen. So I'm not talking about drill rap, because that's to the full extent. If we keep going, that's where it's going to end up, body's going to drop. But in the case of the whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, now, if you don't know, Kendrick Lamar went at Drake again, and this ain't the first time, but he decided to get at Drake again, and he handed Drake his first L, safe to say, and now it look like he's handed him his second L. And also this time around, he included Snoop and Lil Wayne, I believe, on some separate issues. But in response to the beefs, I guess Drake filed a lawsuit or a notice to, I guess, Kendrick record label or whatever, claiming that it was slander. So a lot of people is getting at Drake like, man, that was a weak move. You a sucker. You really is a studio gangster, or you really is not like us, because you should have just came back with another rap. But it looked like he didn't, and this is what I got to say about that. Well, for one, that's what I mean by this whole industry is morphing into something totally different. But being that it's the information age, everything is about reality, real life. So now, in my opinion, there's either two directions. In my opinion, Drake is thinking. Even if he owns some Drake Day only made Easy's payday, if he on that type of hype, like, well, okay, well, I'm gonna hit you in the pockets too from your song, and then I'm gonna drop my diss song or diss album or whatever. Or he sweating, and people in his ear, lawyers or whoever, industry people, like, hey man, you gotta file a lawsuit, you gotta do something, this and this and that, because that definitely gonna change the game. But at the same time, yeah, it's definitely gonna change the game. And don't get me wrong, hey, if you beefing with somebody, man, the gloves is off, and that's what this turning into. It's getting personal beyond the music. To see who's the tightest rapper, not who can whoop who ass, especially in this case, because these is not what we with Kendrick and Drake, especially Drake, that they're not what we call gangster rappers. Yeah, they rap, yeah, they flow, yeah, they talk about all kind of stuff, but they're not like gangster rappers. And when I say gangster rappers, I ain't even talking about a drill rapper, but they just not gangster rappers. So ain't nobody expecting. And this is where another thing now I'm thinking, the whole celebrity boxing. See, everything is getting real reality based, although it still may be scripted and fake to an extent, but it's like fake reality, but it's real. Because in the case of the drill talk, you can lose your life. But it's in any situation, fans or whatever. But that's what I think it's getting to. But as far as Drake filing that lawsuit, do I think it was a weak move? Yeah, I do. But the gloves is off. And okay, like if I'm sitting in Drake's shoes, and I'm beefing with somebody and we rapping and he make a beef song and he get on me, but in that bar is he say something flagrant like that word, with the mind that is kind of flagrant. So I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily know. Because if the gloves is off, the gloves is off. But yeah, he should have just came back. But then it complicates the stuff, man, with that legal. Even though I'm sure Drake probably I'm not sure. I'm sure he definitely not the first artist to get sued. But as far as like defamation and that type of talk, that may be a first. Y'all let me know in the comments. But to me, that's, and I wasn't even going to speak much on it because I really don't even got much to say about this. Because I was already like, it's pros and cons, but the rap game is watered down. Although you don't need the industry to go abroad, so that's the good part. But from what I'm hearing now, a lot of them streams you ain't really necessarily getting paid. So is that because the industry people, they had to do something. The entertainment folks had to do something in response to this online world. So did they somehow still get in cahoots with a lot of these digital format folks? And now it's kind of side swiping the open market or undercutting the open market now, because don't get me wrong, if you want your stuff played on TV commercials and stuff, you still have to go through them. And that's why the publishing with ASCAP and BMI is important still to that extent as far as certain movies. But nowadays you got these online streamings, the Netflixes and the Hulus, so they may got their own. I'm not sure, y'all let me know in the comments. I'm sure they probably got their own deals to where your music can be streaming on our platform if you just sign with us, as opposed to affiliating with the traditional publishing companies. And I'm sure it's a lot of that going on. But so the industry is changing, but the beef is changing along with it. Now we already know the extreme regarding the beef, the extreme cases, starting with Pac and Biggie RP, and plenty others. And now recently you got a lot of this drill, a lot of these young guys smacking each other over verses. So that's the extreme. But the in between, as far as the just regular hip hop artists, the Drakes and the Kendricks, they going at each other. But now, again, you gotta watch what you say. And you always had to watch what you say, whether you realized it or not. Although you can say what you want to say, but that doesn't mean there's going to be consequences. But we ain't even talk about that. So, yeah, that just definitely changed the game. It definitely a weak move. But this was some, it don't surprise me. I don't want to say I've seen it coming. But being that a lot of these diss tracks now is not even really just necessarily, don't get me wrong, they flowing, they still MCing, they putting the bars together, but it's more or less about airing people's dirty laundry as opposed to checking them and whether lyrically or personally pushing up on them. Not that I advocate that, but It's like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely relevant to air that dirty laundry if that artist is putting on as something else. You understand? So sometimes I'm not gonna say it's overkill, but it could be interpreted as overkill. Although it could be a hell of a bar, but I don't necessarily know.